Welcome to Rainbow Soul Podcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello! Hey, everyone. I just realized what I was doing wrong there. I don't have to wear my headphones all the time.
Just most of the time.
Just bad. At least they're comfortable, right? Well, welcome, everyone. I am so glad you all are tuning in. It's going to be a big week. And I just want to invite you to just take a deep breath and settle into that, because March is a transformational month. Many things will change. No need to be afraid of change, but it's there. So I want to invite you to take a little deep breath with me and just take this moment to unwind, to relax, to let yourself sink into this broadcast so that you can hear the messages. Welcome, Carla. I'm glad you're here. Just sink in with us and let's get started.
Yeah, plenty of deep breaths, because with Venus retrograde, and Mercury going retrograde, it's just plenty of fun.
And the
eclipses always bring a certain level of intensity, let's just put it that way, and unexpected change. So even though you think you've got it all figured out, you know, whenever we say that, that's when God laughs, right? The universe, whatever you need for verbiage. But I think this time, these conditions, these moments of tension, I think they require a certain amount of flexibility. I have a friend that says, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall never be bent out of shape." For all you yoginis out there.
Carla says she loves your music.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
So the eclipse is in Virgo this time, right?
The eclipse is in Virgo,
okay,
which is ruled by Mercury.
So,
and actually, that's what I didn't look at, especially in the charts, but I'm sure it's there.
Okay.
I'm very aware of the Mercury-Venus conjunction, but I forgot to look at the retrograde, even though I know it's happening.
We'll find it.
Whatever.
We'll find it. So
the big headline is that full moon in Virgo with the lunar eclipse happening between the 13th and the 14th. It goes on for many hours. So for us, the totality will be at 1 a.m. in Mountain Time. So of course you want to check your area, but definitely hours on either side of midnight will be the lunar eclipse.
All right.
Well, we get ahead of ourselves.
Let's take this moment to settle in. Let's focus in on Virgo energy. Take a deep breath. Feel your bottom in the seat. Feel your feet on the floor. And as you settle into this, you can look up in the sky. And imagine a dark sky with a beautiful full moon. And from the center of the moon, you start to notice a shape, an icon. It is of a goddess who stands with wheat in her hand, holding on to the harvest of to health and longevity. The goddess steps forward. She guides you. And as you see this and feel this goddess Virgo energy, she comforts you with food, with growing things, with your hands in the soil, or your connection to nature with animals or trees, plants. And as she connects you to nature, she reminds you of the sacredness of you and how sacred you are, and how you are stepping into a better version of yourself right now, how you are shedding old habits, stepping past them and into who you are now. Virgo, that Virgo goddess, validates your experience in grounded earth energy and offers a healing path. As the sun and the moon come into an eclipse, as the earth covers the moon, as the moon disappears for just a moment, on the other side, as the eclipse passes right before your eyes, on the other side, you are a new version of you. Whatever was meant to be let go of is shed. You release what no longer serves you. You can take a deep breath. And accept the healing of Virgo in your best interest and in your best health path. Virgo guides you. She guides you by pushing ahead from behind. By removing anything that no longer serves you. She helps you find your true path. We take a deep breath. We allow ourselves to be centered. Healed, guided, and held by Virgo. And present in ourselves, in the here and now. You can wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Take a deep breath, open your eyes. Come back to the here and now. Well done, Bright Hawk. Well done. I love it. It's beautiful.
Well, thank
you
very much. Nice little meditation there.
Yeah.
If you are new to Bright Hawk Productions, there's my channel. I'd love it if you became a subscriber, and there's a regular release of meditations, guided meditations inspired by y'all here who have asked many, many times. Do you guys have guided meditations available? Yes, we do.
So
I think we're up to what, 6 or 7?
Yeah, at least 6.
Something like that. Anyway,
we have some more that we want to do, but currently we're being sidewinded by taxes. So we'll get back to it, okay? But
y'all know how it is.
Hey, I pay my taxes. Yeah, so if you can find Bright Hawk, if you just go on, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, you can just search for @Bright Hawk Productions, Bright Hawk Productions, and that will take you to there. And you can also just go to brighthawkproductions.com. That will also take you that will, like, the social media is also there. Okay.
Very appreciative of the folks that subscribe and hit that little bell, because then it tells you when we release. And we've been pretty regular. About every 2 weeks we're getting a new one out there. So
right, a couple times a month at least.
Yeah.
And you can do a guided meditation numerous times, or if you find that if you listen to the meditation, you're like, I don't know, Hollis, it just moves a little too fast for me. You can also just download Bright Hawk's music at her website, and you can just listen to her music, or you can listen to the album for free if you don't have enough money. Sacred Side Project, you can listen to it for free on her channel. It's streaming, so you'll have to have internet connection, but there it is. And if you want to learn more about Bright Hawk, or you want an astrology reading with Bright Hawk, here is where you can book. That's her website, brighthawkproductions.com. You can also order her amazing book, The Dancing Hippo. Or you can also book coaching with her for storytelling and things like that, if that's your thing. So you should know that. Just so that we don't miss out on things, and we want to make sure we acknowledge everything. Hi, Juggler John.
Oh, hey.
Just so we don't miss out on a few things, is that Lacrosse, who has been doing Rainbow Soul with me for 3 or 4 years,
something like that. Yeah.
The history of Rainbow Soul is, if you look us up on like Facebook, Rainbow Soul Vodcast, even on Spotify, we have been doing shows where we interview interesting spiritual people that you might be interested in from all sorts of paths. And me and Lacrosse did that for a long time. Most of them are LGBTQ. And then Bright Hawk also joined us for probably a dozen or more of those shows. And then at some point we moved over to more of an astrology theme, mostly for a variety of reasons that had more to do with like arranging and management. It was easier to just invite Bright Hawk to be a co-host with both of us. And then the three of us have been doing Soulstrology for
several years,
like 2 years, maybe 3.
Maybe,
okay.
Yeah.
So it might be 3 years now. And we do this weekly forecast. And lacrosse, a juggler said your hair looks great. And so what we did was now lacrosse is wanting to write a book, and we want to support him in that. And he's asked to be able to step away from the show for a while, and he knows he's welcome back at any time, just so there's no weirdness. Nobody thinks anything weird. And we're encouraging him to write a book. In fact, I even offered to help him edit it and be a reader of that book. It's important to him, and considering that he's going into his second Saturn returns, he knows how important it is to him. So a lot of times in our second Saturn returns, it's about our usually you're in your 50s, 60s, you're headed towards 60, and usually it's about your legacy. It's about what you're leaving behind. And so I think that's really important that lacrosse has an opportunity to do that for both him and his children. So if you wondered what happens, in your second Saturn returns, you knew what happened in your first Saturn returns. Well, it'll probably be a little bit different on your second Saturn returns. And that happens every 27 to 30 years. It's usually a long process. It lasts for 3 to 5 years. I would say sometimes it's a 5-year span. Some people, it just depends on how fast you move through things, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, well,
I mean, this is your second one. Do you remember how long it lasted?
Yeah, it feels like years. It's a couple of years where it's, most of us experience, well, at least I did, where it retrogrades back and forth on it. It literally retrograded, spun right on top of my placement and then kept going. So it was like, oh man, it was a really intense several years. And because my Saturn alignment is with the yod towards my moon, I just felt like
it kept triggering your yod because it's going across that Saturn placement.
And we've talked a lot about fingers, if you have a yod
or finger of God,
2 in conjunction a sextile, the finger of God is always going to tell you, this is your destiny. This is your fate. You must do this. There's not really any choice. It's not even a must do this. It's this is what's on your plate. This is what the universe is asking of you.
This will happen to you.
The sooner you get on board and accept it, the better. Because you can bitch, you can scream, you can kick and moan and throw a little tantrum. It's not going to change a damn thing.
Right.
But when you realize, oh, I have to do this. This is that moment I was warned about. This is that thing I was told, you will have to do this. And I have to say, astrology gave me a great deal of comfort because it was really intense and really hard for a while. And then when I realized this is your yod, this is the finger of God playing out, it was like, oh, okay, well, let's go. This is my fate. This is my destiny. Let's just do this.
Not everyone has a finger of God, but if you've been told by an astrologer or you figured out that you have a yod in your chart, a yod and a finger of God are the same thing. I would just say that it's triggered by whatever planets it's connected to. It's stronger when it's with planets rather than asteroids. And how it plays out on your chart will depend on those planets and those placements. But it is something that will happen to you, I would say. Because my grandson has one. And some of them, he doesn't have, he's like 7 years old. He doesn't have a ton of choice about these things. And he's just going to be a child. And I still think he's playing out his yod. Even with what he's manifested now, even at 9 years old. 7 years old. So I think kids manifest that too. So yeah, you should always have at least one natal chart reading, and I recommend having an astrology reading at least once a year. You're going to want to know if that yod is getting triggered. I think Red Hawk years has been being triggered for since 2020.
I would
agree. And here we're in 2025. So I'm right agree. When I say 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
And you feel like you're coming out of it now, do you think?
Well, in one sense, I do, but I feel like Rowan is triggering it again because we both have the same yod pointing to our Leo moons.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We're both Virgo rising, so our house placements are the same. And this is when you, if you haven't heard us describe this before, when you're trying to understand a relationship with another person, you put both charts together and it's called synastry.
Mm-hmm.
Hollis is very, very good at this. Like if you're dating someone and you're like, is this the one? Is this person?
That's how I knew she was worth going after.
It's true. Hollis did my astrology chart and I was like, you're going to have the goods on me. And
yeah,
we,
but I just wanted to
living in
see what our
different parts of the
synastry
country. We were just getting to know each other, etc. But anyway, it's a big week. And if, we've been talking a lot about how there's just so much intensity in the Aries Pisces part of the chart. It's just so much energy. And of course, the other side of the chart, opposite Pisces, is Virgo. And that's where the full moon is going to be at the end of the week.
Okay. Well, and I think this week, we are still dealing with Venus in retrograde.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that totally applies about synastry and talking about that sort of thing. Because if you're struggling in relationships right now, let me just say that this is part of the stars. And I hear you, Juggler John. I wouldn't call astrology divination. Some people say that. Hi, Kathleen. It's like a shamrock. And Juggler John said, I tend to avoid divination. I want the future to be a surprise. Yeah, okay. That's, I like astrology because it gives me the weather forecast. I'm not sure it tells me exactly what's going to happen. But it prepares me. It prepares me energetically. So I know how to get through things without
the flavor
stuck in the stuff.
Yeah, that's what I always think of it. It kind of gives you the flavor and the essence of, heads up, here's where it's going to get intense,
right?
Or everything should be light and fluffy. Have a good time
right
these days. Yeah. I like knowing that. I think that's one of the great gifts of astrology and one of the ways we can support each other when you recognize, we're all in this together. Right. And when we have intense things like eclipses, which are intense, period, full stop. Now, if you're like me, I happen to have, this happens to be exactly on my ascendant, on my rising sign in Virgo. It just, that node is just, South node is right there. So
and it's right on top of your Mars, which is also there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go.
Yeah, it's on my son, so that's what that means.
Yeah.
So,
but at the end, we'll talk. Hollis has been doing readings at the end that give everyone, based on your sun, moon, or rising, a little bit of what the flavor is specifically for you, if you know your sun, moon, and rising.
Yeah.
And it's always good for you to know there's lots of free resources in astrology. You can get a free astrology chart. And if you need a little help learning what the hell's a rising sign and how do I interpret this, we have a little basic, get you out of the gate. This is how you interpret your sun, moon, and rising. This is what your sun, moon, and rising means. This is why it's important. It's like the first thing we all kind of learn. And then if you're like, woo, that was awesome, I want more, we have an Astrology 101 class that we did together that has, in 5 parts, gives you the basics of astrology and understanding of the houses, the rulers, each of the zodiacs and their rulers, and how to understand transits, how to interpret your chart really specifically. And it's frankly a great value because if you get the chart, if you get the course, you can get 2 sessions with Hollis helping you answer any questions you have and understand your personal chart, which is a phenomenal value. So just so you have that out there, because we try to make it clear, astrology can definitely sound like a lot of gobbledygook if you're not familiar with the language of astrology. So we try to really break it down and not
and this is our weekly free resource for you. You can come ask questions, and of course we give you a weekly horoscope, and it's helpful if you have your chart because it'll help you interpret things. I want to do I want to validate the people that are speaking. Bianca Clark. Mercury is definitely retrograde. One of these days, Hollis, I'm going to get a reading with you. All right, Bianca, I look forward to it. Juggler John. So if you don't know the location of, you don't know what state you were born in, but the other part we can figure out if you at least know like what state or region of the country that you were born in. You can figure out your hour. It's called rectification, and an experienced astrologer can do rectification, and I've been pretty accurate with my rectification. Sometimes I do it very quickly for people that forget to bring this information with them, but I do it like we can sit down and just do an hour, and it will take me about an hour. I'll have to ask you a series of questions, look at how you look and things like that, but I can help you figure out what you're rising, what time you were born, essentially. Especially if you can at least tell me what region of the United States you were born in, if you were born in the United States. Hi, Samantha.
Yeah, it is very beautiful up in the mountains. It's in the 50s today. I heard from our postal person that we're supposed to get snow in a few days, but right now it's awesome. Yeah, Dom's like, what did I do? That's the sound of don't do anything. Anyway, so we should take a look at the charts. It's, the real headline is Friday. Like I said, the lunar eclipse is, of course, the full moon. And the totality of the eclipse will probably be about 65 minutes, depending on where you are. The total of it is like almost 6 hours altogether. So, it's many hours. And like I said, kind of around the midnight hour, depending on where you are in the country or in the world. And you could look, get your local information to tell you. But a lunar eclipse is, I'm finding this fascinating because I was born 24 hours after a full lunar eclipse. And so, I don't know, there's something about them that makes me always quite curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like what's going to happen,
Yeah, I'm always curious about how it will manifest in my life. And usually it's good stuff. I mean, in the end, it's good. Sometimes it's intense in the moment, but then it's good later.
Yeah. And I don't get freaked out by eclipses. Some people do. In Tibet, they used to bang pots and pans, try to keep evil spirits away. In India, apparently they practically hide, they go inside, close windows, doors, so some people have, kind of what is it, superstition around eclipses.
Yeah, they have some different experiences for sure.
But as a storyteller, superstitions are based on whatever story you tell yourself. So I'm all for one about telling yourself a good story. If you want to freak yourself out, do whatever your will is. But I personally have no need of it, and instead find myself more curious about what's going to change, how will things change, and who shows up and what transpires in just a spirit of curiosity.
All right. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to talk about this week. And let me just say that, right now, today, I like to talk about, first of all, Venus is retrograde. Mercury is stationing. That means it's about to go backwards or forwards. It's about to change directions, and it's coming to a halt. I think it actually comes to a halt in like 2 days. But today, Venus is retrograde. What does Venus retrograde mean? Well, we talked about it last week, but Venus retrograde is usually like that energy of relationships or self-love, listening to yourself, listening to what you love, what you need, things like that. And that's a relationship thing. So just take that into your heart for a minute, and recognize that that's happening right now. So it just means that things could be difficult with relationships, or with your relationship to money, to food, to exercise, to whatever it is, okay, to your life, your relationship with something or someone, including yourself. And then also it could have something to do with money, okay? So any of those things, if you find that Venus is going retrograde for you right now, that probably has a lot to do with reviewing or editing or changing maybe the relationship, the way you were doing money, your relationship with money, your relationship with yourself. Any of that stuff means let me take a review this week, especially into the weekend. I would say by the lunar eclipse, you're going to really have a good idea of what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you and I think the eclipse will affect this. Mostly because Mercury is retrograde in the same sign, in Aries, the same sign that Venus, and they're both going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's really asking us to review how we love ourselves and how we love others.
I agree, with Venus especially involved that way, self-love, instead of, be mindful of not being really hard on yourself. And what is your self-talk? Is your self-talk, are you nice to yourself, or are you mean to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that's going to be Mercury. And why do we say that? Because Mercury is all about communication, and Venus is all about relationships and what we value money, value people, value period. What do you value? What's important to you? So when you put those two together, and a retrograde always means review. Let's look inside. Is everything the way it should be? Am I the way I want to be? Those kind of things. It's a real opportunity for healing. Mm-hmm. That's what Mars square Chiron has been going on all month, and there's the opportunity for healing. And it's trine Saturn, so it's in a positive, blessed. Saturn, of course, is authority, dad, the system, structure.
We might find some better ways to be in the world.
Hopefully.
At least maybe we feel like there's an expression to our patriotism, which, that's probably good right now, because that will give way to the protests and things like that, I think, with that Mars in trine to Saturn. I think that would make the protests more effective, because Mars in Cancer, usually would mean like it's difficult, it's oppressing things. But now that it's going forward and it's in a trine to Saturn, it's almost like it's just enough energy to push. And since Cancer represents patriotism and things like that, things to do with our home and our home country. Okay. So that's like, and since it's in a square to Chiron, that's what makes it a protest. That's the hard part, right? That's the healing part. So that's like two conversations there, but with one meaning. And so I just feel that and
that means Mars is answering to the moon in Leo.
Which is big about leadership and integrity and things like that.
Yeah. Which
usually people are protesting because of a lack of those things or a need for those things, right? Okay. So yeah, we're with Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde right now. I feel like those are the overwhelming themes, and I feel like we're sort of amping up for eclipse season. Some people might already be experiencing some things for the eclipse, because some people are a little bit faster than others just because of your astrology chart. It's not it's not always a good thing. Like, people are always like, oh, you're fast, and like I'm trying to say I'm better or something. No. It doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. So as we move into later this week, now this is Tuesday, And, it would be much the same where we're still feeling that kind of energy. And the eclipse isn't until, you said, till the end of the week.
Friday, Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday night, Friday morning.
Okay. I was just looking at Mercury.
And I took the snapshot of Friday morning at the moment of totality of the full moon.
So I think
3 degrees Virgo on Friday.
Okay.
1 a.m.
So we could start to feel things. I think it's going to kind of amp up until Thursday, Friday. And that's where things are going to really feel really intense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, Friday, some things are going to feel particularly intense because of Venus has been going retrograde. Mercury is going to join it and go backwards. If you're not already feeling it, it will depend on your personal astrology chart what day you feel it, but it will be this week. And there's probably going to have something to do with, how do I take care of myself? How do I love myself? How do I relationship with others? Mm-hmm. How do I handle my body, especially with all that Aries energy? I feel like that we could easily come into, how do I handle my body?
Good. And Aries is always great at working out. Go for a walk. If you need to do things to ground, definitely do them.
Right.
And of course, what also makes eclipses a surprise a minute is that there's trine to Uranus, and Uranus is always the big surprise. But in a trine, that's the most favorable aspect in astrology. So it's a blessing. So what I like to say, and this is in my book, The Dancing Hippo, I'm willing to be delightfully surprised by how sweet this life can be. And you get what you expect, right? So
that's right.
We try to look for where's the blessing.
So it looks like there's a couple void moons, one on Tuesday into Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's a pretty substantial one.
That's a pretty long one. So that's Tuesday into Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So Tuesday night is a void moon. So if you don't know what a void moon is.
A void moon is when the moon is transitioning from one sign to the next. And it has a period where we call it the void of course. And it means that it's literally what it sounds like. It's in the void. And of course, since the moon changes signs about every 2.5 days, and you're zipping around the zodiac, stepping out of Leo and into Libra, from a fire sign into an air sign, those are very different energies. From Libra into Scorpio, very different energies. Leo into Virgo. Did I say that? Leo into Virgo, not Libra. Anyway, you get how the zodiac works. And so these void moments are when the moon is like chill. There's not a lot of emotional energy, which means you want to do good self-care. You want to take advantage of a quiet time. You might want to take advantage of it being a non-drama time, like people that you have to deal with that you feel like, there's always so much drama. This is a no drama time. So definitely use it to your advantage. And sometimes they're just, an hour or 15 minutes even. And sometimes they're 12 hours or more. So
I was looking at this, that the lunar eclipse happens at 1 a.m. exactly on Friday, and the void moon is 5:47 to 7 p.m. And I'm thinking, does that void out the eclipse? No, I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, yeah.
No, because the eclipse, the void is just an hour, 6 to 7, and the eclipse will probably start around 10 p.m.
Okay.
And go until maybe even 9 p.m. until 3 p.m. It's almost a 6-hour window when the shadow of the sun the shadow of the earth creeps over the full
this
moon.
says 1 a.m.
is totality. It's the completion.
So that's the completion on Friday at 1 a.m.
And
so Thursday night.
And they talk about 65 minutes of totality when it's covered. So it takes hours for that shadow to creep on it, and then it stays there, and then it takes hours for
and that's the shadow of the earth, right?
Yeah.
And so then that's 5:47 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And let's talk about an eclipse real quick, because I think that the eclipse is going to be the highlight of our week, right? Like, so here's the thing. Oh, thank you so much. Bianca said that even though I still have to be able to wrap my brain around, I still have yet to be able to wrap my brain around the big picture of all this. I've definitely learned lots of tidbits from you guys.
Thanks.
Some days I'll figure out how to put it all together. I appreciate you guys. Oh, you're welcome, Bianca.
That's great. That's great.
Hi, Sue. Welcome.
Hi.
All right. And so here's the thing about the eclipse is that if it's in Virgo, the South Node is there. And I was thinking about this, Bright Hawk. So the solar eclipse will be in Pisces. Am I right about that?
Right. So
I'm just checking.
So when we talk about eclipses, we're talking about the luminaries, also known as the nodes. And so the moon and the South Node are conjunct. And in Virgo, the South Node represents the past. Some people call it karma. Some people say it's the tail of the dragon, which is where the poop comes out, right? And the North Node is our future, our destiny, our, North Star, if you will. And so, of course, the North Node is conjunct with the sun. And so the first eclipse is a lunar eclipse, and that's always a full moon. And then 2 weeks later will be the solar eclipse, which again will be
a new moon, right?
Right, a new moon, and 2 weeks after the lunar. So there's books and courses and a whole lot of that can be said about the moon and about the luminaries and about eclipses. There are people who've written books on just this stuff alone. One of the things that you sort of find out, and it can be very overwhelming when you start studying astrology, is like, oh my God, it's not just one thing. It's like 17 flavors. One of the flavors is called Draconian, after the dragon, and it's all about the luminaries, and it's used to forecast and be predictive in astrology. There's another kind of astrology that's very predictive and sort of helps you with like finding lost things or uncovering truths, and that's called horary astrology, which is very predictive. It's a whole other little specialty in astrology. So it's endlessly fascinating, and that's why we're constantly trying to simplify. What do we need to know?
So
what's important?
What I always say about eclipses is it always makes me think of that song, A Total Eclipse of the Heart, right? And they're not kidding, because eclipse, you go from this to this. So whatever the problem was, not everything, but whatever the problem was, it could be big or small. Probably depends on your chart and what's there, how much energy you have going on in Virgo, and how much energy you have going on in Pisces. Why is it important in Pisces? Because that means the moon is across the sky from it. So it's Pisces and Virgo are opposites. And so the thing that you should always remember with eclipses is that it will affect both sides of this opposite. And while opposites are opposite, they are also very similar in astrology. They share things that are the same, and they have things that are opposite. And when you start to understand that, that's one of the ways that you learn astrology, is by learning the opposites. Okay. And so like Virgo is all about health and being healthy and living healthy and trying to get your life together, but Virgo always has something not right. And then they're not that anal, just saying. Like sometimes people think Virgos are anal, and I'm like, never. I've never met an anal Virgo.
It's not really true. It's one of those cliches. That's
a weird
really
thing.
True.
It's weird. And so, Virgos are they're grounded, and Virgo energy is grounded, and it's healing, and it's like Mother Earth. It's like, let me make you dinner. It's let me help you feel better. What can I do connect you or whatever. Okay. Like, how can I help you? That's Virgo. And Pisces is about your spiritual connection, and it's sacrificial. It's not, it's more about what can I give you a body part that would make this better somehow. That's Pisces. Pisces is looking to have a great time. Pisces is very focused on spirituality, emotions, and how that manifests in our day-to-day lives. And that's the difference. Now, Virgo is also interested in emotions, but they want to know how to be as healthy in mental health as they can be, while Pisces is more just about validating that it's there. And they're very in touch. People that have strong Pisces placements tend to be very in touch with emotions. So, and they tend to need to let it out. I think that they have to let it out. Like, they have to cry. Oh. They have to throw. They have to be mad. They have to.
I think of Pisces, I just think ocean of emotion.
Right.
And so in the positive, Pisces can be very spiritual, and we're all just one, and we're the sea of humanity,
peacekeepers,
and they can be great peacekeepers. But at the same time, they can also, because Neptune is there, be delusional, toxic positivity, even falling for things that are not true.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah. And I think we've seen a lot of that in the last year, because Neptune has been for years in Pisces, and it had a really long retrograde period. And all of that points to, what we see all around us. We're not saying anything you haven't heard, the divisions in truth and fake news and blah, 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 blah. So the Virgo Pisces axis, and of course you've got earth and water. That axis is very much about healing and nurturing and taking care of the collective when you look across it, right? And so if you have placements there, you're going to feel this more significantly. And we'll talk at the end about, based on what house it falls in for you, it'll tell us a lot about what you can expect.
Yep. When I do the thing at the end, you'll be able to look at your horoscope. Yeah. So I think the eclipse is exactly what Brighthawk said, which is like the healing part of this. What spiritual thing do we need to manifest? But the lunar eclipse, which is what we're going to have this week, is more like, what do I need to let go? What is no longer serving me? What needs to be let go of? And whatever that thing is, will push you more directly towards your destiny in Pisces, whatever kind of Pisces energy you might be expressing, little or none. Everybody has some Pisces in them. Everyone has some Virgo in them. And so Virgo can sometimes be judgmental. It can sometimes be a little bit judgmental is the biggest thing. Oh, a perfectionist. So any of those kinds of things that you might be letting go, that's that Virgo, that's that lunar eclipse. Or if you just realize that there's something within you, that an old way of yourself that you have to let go of, that's that lunar eclipse. Okay. And Virgo is just trying to push you in the right direction towards your destiny and how you will express your Pisces energy. And as we get through the weekend, as the intensity of the eclipse will be Thursday, Friday. So there'll be some intensity Thursday and Friday for you. Some might experience it Wednesday or Saturday, but you will mostly experience it this week. There'll be a build up to it. And just like there'll be a build up to the solution in 2 weeks. So I will say that there is a void moon on Sunday morning. It looks like Sunday morning till I guess that's Monday morning, huh?
Yes, yeah. So I know sometimes we have a listener who works night shifts. So Sunday night is a void moon night. And it's really quite substantial because it starts on Sunday morning and it doesn't end until Monday morning.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it should be a really chill Sunday, which I hope you can take advantage of that.
Yeah. So, and I think that as we go through the week, I think most of the energy will be felt Thursday, Friday, and then by the time we get to Sunday evening, it sounds like it will be Sunday. It will be much better.
Yeah.
Just Sunday during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like most of the
Hopefully.
intensity is going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in there. Probably be not all 3 days, but probably one of those days you'll experience the eclipse. Some people might experience it more intensely, depending on if you have Virgo or Pisces placements. It could also be Gemini or Sagittarius energy. Gemini's, I would think the people with the strongest placements in Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, those are going to feel the eclipse the most. Okay. So, and it depends on what planet. So if you know you're a Virgo sun, then it's going to affect you differently than a Virgo moon. A Virgo moon's probably going to feel it very emotionally. Okay. But a Virgo sun's going to feel it like, what am I going in this direction for? I need to not do this. Okay. And then a Sagittarius might feel it more like, I'm not sure this is the direction I need to go. Okay, so it just depends on what placements you have there of what the flavor is. But I am going to do a horoscope here with you guys for all the zodiac signs. But I was just trying to give you a feel of how the eclipse might be slightly different for you based on your your own astrology chart. So take a look at your astrology chart, find Virgo. You've seen it in that thing. It kind of looks like the letter M. It's usually kind of yellow or brown, or sometimes it could be green in some software. And then you want to know that the eclipse is happening in Virgo. Okay, so Bianca, you're saying my husband is a Virgo sun and I'm a Sagittarius. So I'm going to say that you two might have some sort of relationship thing that you have to deal with this week. So just be aware of it. And so when it happens, recognize that you're in a square. So your sun and his sun are both actually in what we call a square, which is not a bad placement. It just means that you might have some things to overcome. They're usually good challenges. The harder challenges are when they're opposite, but they're not opposite. They're in a square, which means you can find a solution.
Yeah, squares are opportunities. Squares are choice points. Trines are blessings. You don't even notice that you're so blessed you forgot to say thank you. But squares make you do a little work. Am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? Am I going to say yes? Am I going to say no? And so I totally feel you, Bianca, because Sag and Virgos are great combos. Guess who? A Sag Virgo. We're Sag and Virgo. And I have the exact same configuration. I have, obviously, the nodes are, the South Node is in Virgo, squaring my natal node in Sagittarius, because I'm a solstice baby. So my nodes, and I was born right after a lunar eclipse. So my nodes are right on the MCIC axis. I thought everybody's was like that. I learned in astrology that could be anywhere. Like, that's just because you're a solstice, So it's very funny to me. So I totally feel yes. Yes, we'll have a square, but it's not the end of the world. And let's be curious. What is it?
Where's it going to lead us? How's it going to make us better?
What do we need to learn?
Yeah. So just be open to that. And I'm sure, Bianca, that whatever it is, it won't, don't worry about it too much. Just stay open. And just, maybe mention if your husband's open to astrology, hopefully he is, then I would just suggest that you make sure maybe you just mention that. Okay. And
absolutely.
Because it's, It's important. Okay. And let me just,
Don't you want to
right.
do the lunar eclipse, not the solar?
But I meant to do, what I was trying to do was this.
Okay.
So that was my fault. I did the wrong one. Oops. All right. So
Trying to
what
get the eclipse charts together so we can go
Right.
through the zodiac for everybody.
Right. So, all right. So let me just save. So what I'm going to do is, what you do is you listen to your sun, moon, and rising sign for each one that I talk about. And so that means that you kind of combined whatever I say together, and that will be how this day plays out for you. So I'm going to be doing it for Thursday, Friday, which is the height of the eclipse. During the height of the eclipse, during the strongest moments of the eclipse, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so what you might be experiencing on Friday morning with the eclipse. This could happen the day before Thursday or Friday, depending on your chart. Okay, so just so you know, just depends on. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell you exactly without looking at your chart. Okay, so let's see here. What happened? Okay. There we go. All right, so hopefully everyone can see that. And as I'm looking at this, we're going to start out with Aries. This is Aries sun, moon, and rising. Just take note of this, Aries, that this is very much about your identity and in relation to relationships and your day-to-day life, Aries. As an Aries, first of all, you have a lot going on in your sign right now, and this year is going to be an intense year. So just hang in there, Aries. You are being prepared. You are being prepared for what will unfold in the coming year or 2 years, Aries. For the next year or two, there's going to be planets moving in and out of Aries that will definitely affect you and your relationship with culture, your relationship in the world, and your relationship with others, okay? Including your day-to-day life, Aries. So we got Venus going back and forth. We have we have Venus going retrograde right now. She's headed back towards Pisces, and that's in Aries. We have Mercury retrograde in Aries, plus we have the full moon lunar eclipse in your house of day-to-day life. So this is going to have a lot to do with your identity, and this eclipse is going to have a lot to do with how it connects to your day-to-day life. What is it about your identity and your day-to-day life that maybe needs to change? What do you need to let go of, Aries? What is it that is asking to please be released? And that is the part of your life that will become aware in this coming week. You will become aware of what needs to change and how you're going to let that go. So that's for Aries, sun, moon, and rising. There's something that you have to let go. And as you let go of it, just be aware that this is just leading you to something better. So even though it might be kind of hard, maybe it's a habit or something to do in your day-to-day life. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a health habit or something like that. That's what it's but it has something also to do with your identity. Maybe you just need to exercise more often or more regularly or something like that. So Aries, pay attention to your day-to-day life and your identity and how those two go together, including your relationship with others, because that probably has something to do with your day-to-day life. Plus Venus is in retrograde right now. So if any of that kind of stuff is happening right now in your life, just be aware of that change that's happening. There's a big change happening for the next 2 weeks, pretty much this month. For Aries, it's going to feel very intense. There's going to be a lot going on. It's not bad stuff. It's putting you on the right path. Just allow it to happen. Just be prepared for change. That's all what I'm saying. Okay, so that's for Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Now for Taurus, some things could totally come out of left field. You could be completely unaware of some communications and some things that has to do with your day-to-day life or something that needs to change in your day-to-day life. and it will probably come out of left field. You probably feel like you didn't see that coming, but other people are going to be like, you didn't see that coming? How did you not see that coming? Okay. So like that's other people can see it, but you can't. So give yourself a break here. Give yourself some compassion, Taurus. I know that change can sometimes feel hard. It could feel overwhelming for the next couple of weeks where you feel like, how will I change this? But don't get, pushed aside. Don't ignore this call forward. I always just say that Taurus is like a bull, right? And they can see the red flag. So don't lose track of the goal. Don't lose track of what you want to do. And you want to change. It's just kind of hard sometimes. So this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is going to have a lot to do with your day-to-day life, your relationships with others. You probably won't see it coming. Someone else will probably say something to you that's unexpected. Okay? So just grasp a hold of that and just go forward with it. Allow it to come true. Okay? Just be open. Just know that this is the universe sending you this message. All right. And so that's for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And now I'm doing it for Gemini. Now this is Gemini. Gemini, oh my, I want to say, is there something going on with your kids? Is there something that you got to let go with your children? Is there something you're working, your children or your creativity, or maybe it's your romantic relationship, or maybe it's all three. Especially people with families and stuff like that, like there's something that you have to release. And this is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There's something you have to let go of that's in relation to children, love, romantic relationships specifically, and creative outlets, creative things that you're working on. Maybe you have to let go of something so you can move forward. Maybe you have to get, maybe you have to work through something, especially if something feels like you're trying to control it, or you're trying to hold on to something, or you're holding on to something that no longer serves you. Please let it go this week. Just let it go. At least acknowledge that you want to let it go. Let the universe know you want to let it go, Gemini, because just speak it out loud. Your speech is powerful. Speak it out loud and let the universe know that you want to let that go. Okay. And this will help you let it go. You know what it is you have to let go of. So just allow it to go. Speak to the universe, and this universe will respond to you and lead you to what will help you let that go. It might require a little bit of work, Gemini, but I'm pretty sure you got this. So Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, something with your children, your romantic relationships, or your creative outlets in the world. Just be aware that there's something you have to let go of, and just go ahead and let that go. The best thing you could do is just let it go, Gemini. All right. And now as we move into Cancer, this is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There is something with your family of origin that you must let go of. There is something you must move past, Cancer. Something with your family of origin, especially when it comes to judgment, or it comes to feeling like there's something that needs to be let go of in that department. Maybe it's your childhood. Maybe it's a relationship with a parent. Maybe that needs to change for you. Especially even something that has to do with work, maybe with your work style, or what you bring to the world, or how you present yourself to the world, or what you offer the world, or how you sort of approach that. Those kinds of things in your past will need to be let go of. What's in your past that you need to let go of? What's in your childhood that needs to be let go of? Okay. So those kinds of things, or from your parents, or something that you're carrying from your childhood. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Something you're carrying from your childhood, you can just let that go as the eclipse comes through this week. Just allow the moon to take it away. Maybe get out on Thursday night, or or even Friday night, and just ask the moon to take it away from you, because it's probably going to be really emotional, as far as something attached to your childhood or something. And that's just kind of That's just kind of the energy of this for you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So just be aware that you can let it go. You can move past it. And in fact, it's the best thing you could do. Okay. So just let it go, because it's really probably something that really needs to be let go of. And now this is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, keep in mind that, if it's your sun, it's going to be the way you're going. If it's your rising, it's also the way you're headed. But it's a little bit more deeper. It's a little bit more about your soul, your rising. And then the moon is the emotionality of the situation. How do you feel about it? And so depending on where you're, do you see this? Depending on where it lands for you. So let me just go back. All right. So let me just scooch a little bit. Whoops. Scooch a little forward there. What I'm doing is adjusting this to Thursday for because I want the moon to be in Virgo. It had moved into Gemini on the other one. So this is still Thursday, Friday. Okay, you're going to feel this energy. This is the eclipse. This is the lunar eclipse in Virgo for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is really going to have something to do with your community. This is really going to have something to do with or how you communicate, or your siblings. Okay, so this is the community, your siblings, or how you communicate. And this really could have a lot of healing in that department. There's something that you have to let go of. Maybe something that no longer serves you, maybe a relationship with a community or a sibling that no longer serves you, that you just have to let go, or even just the way that you communicate with that person. Okay, like the way you communicate with your brother or your sister. Okay, so letting that go, Leo moon, Leo sun. And it could be emotionally, right? So if it's a Leo moon, it's probably going to be more of an emotional shift, where if it's a rising or a sun sign, it's probably going to be how you express yourself. So that's what I mean by that. And so you want to think about that. What's your Leo, sun, moon, and rising? What's your relationship with community and with communication and your siblings? And how does that manifest for you? And what is it that needs to be let go of? What is it that needs to be changed? What is it that you're letting go of? Especially something from your past. A lot of the eclipse will be letting go of who we were in the past, unwinding some old crap that doesn't belong anymore. So that's like one of the big things that you'll notice. So that's for the Leo, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This is going to be very intense for you, because it's happening in your sign. The eclipse, the moon is going to be full in your sign, and it's an eclipse at the same time. You're probably going to notice a huge change in yourself. There's going to be some big change, something that you really let go of about yourself, something you really shed. This is a really great time to do any kind of magic of letting things go. So Virgo, if there's something that's sitting on your lap and you're like, I've got to let this go, now is the time. Do it now. Go outside, ask the moon to take it away. This is the time. This is going to be about money and identity. And how are those two it's going to be mostly about money. Okay. And just think about that. Think about how that's going to manifest for you. What is your relationship with money? How is money healthy or not healthy for you? How do you deal with money in a good way or not good way? What needs to be let go of so that you can function in a better way in the world? And what do you have to deal with from your past that will help you go forward, Virgo? And so that's for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. It's definitely a journey that's individual to all of us, Virgo. It's not just you. It's a lot of people struggle with financial things, managing money, doing things with money, or how to spend it, or how much to spend, and things like that. You're not the only one, so don't give yourself too hard of a time, and just take a deep breath and go easy on yourself. That's the number one advice I would give for this week, is to be compassionate with yourself and allow for the change, allow for the space in the change. So Virgo, allow it to go. Whatever you need to let go of around money and identity, just let that go, especially if it's leading you to better health. You know that's your best choice. And now this is for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Libra, again, this is going to come out of left field, or it could be something about your psychic awareness or something to do with hospitals or institutions and nursing homes, particularly anything that is harder to see. That's why we list those things: hospitals, nursing homes, psychic abilities. These are all things that we think of that are kind of hard to see, including hidden enemies, and even other like psychic things that maybe you're not aware of. So that's for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. It probably will come out of nowhere, but it is going to have something to do with your day-to-day life, which is great, really. That's where it's pushing you. So there's something that needs to change, Libra, that you'll change. You'll probably have some intuition about it, but you probably won't have it until exactly Thursday, Friday, maybe the night of Thursday or the morning of Friday. You'll become aware of something that's super important for you to deal with. And maybe you just didn't see it coming, or somebody else might say something to you that makes you aware. Okay. And that's also a gift, right? So just saying, that's for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. So now as we move on to Scorpio, this is going to be very much about people that have power over you. Who are those people and how are they affecting you? Okay. Like what kind of emotional manipulation are they doing? Are you aware of it? So this is Scorpio. This is for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Pay attention to your relationship with others, particularly your coworkers, your friends, and anyone that has any kind of influence or power over you. Just become aware of it. You could feel a shift in how you deal with that, and you could feel a shift in how that works for you. And don't worry, it's leading you to a better place. So just allow that emotional change to happen, and you'll be integrating that for the next week or so. Scorpio, this will probably happen to you just a little bit faster, just like Aries. So, this is going to probably happen on Wednesday, Thursday. You'll have sort of an aha or an awareness to something with your identity, and something to do with, like people that have power over you, coworkers and things like that. Okay. People like that. That's it, directly in relation to that, especially with that Venus retrograde at the same time. And now this is for Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this is going to have to do with your career. This is going to have to do with what you're presenting to the world. What are you presenting to the world? What are you bringing out? What are you showing the world? And step forward. It's time for you to step up. Maybe there's a part of you that realizes maybe you've been on the backstage for a while or something, or some part of you that recognizes your own power or your own influence, or something that has to do definitely with your career, and it's leading you to create a better home for yourself. So follow it. Allow whatever needs to let go. Just let it go. Just let it go. And allow that to lead you forward. And sometimes what we let go of pushes us, like it's almost like a balloon. When you let all the air out of a balloon, it pushes the balloon forward, right? And so that's what's happening. You're letting all the air out and it's pushing you forward. And that is really the beauty of this lunar eclipse, Sagittarius. So whatever it is in relation to work or how you present yourself to the world, your career, your job in the world, or anything else, that even if it's not your job, like if it's your school, or however else you deal with the whole world, your public life, that is the part that you have something to let go of. Okay, Virgo? Sorry, that's for Sagittarius. That is for Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. And now this is for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Capricorn, what I would say about you is that this time it's going to be more about your spiritual life and your spirituality. You've got something special that you have to bring forward in that. There's something that you have to deal with in particular about. It's going to lead you to better communication. I'm just saying it's going to take you to better communication later. But what I'm going to end community, and it's going to help you have community around you. But it's that spiritual part. There's some sort of spiritual thing, something you have to let go of, or some sort of higher learning that you have to obtain in order to like get to that part, with community. So in order to get to the solar eclipse, we have to let the air out of the balloon, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. So there's something in your spiritual life, maybe even something from higher learning, from college, or something around legalities that needs to be let go of, so that way you can move forward, knowing who you are and knowing which direction you're going, and just being aware that's what's supposed to happen. So Capricorn, just let this happen. Let this spiritual awakening happen. It's actually really important. So you'll probably be experiencing some sort of spiritual awakening or spiritual connection. It could just mean doing more spiritual work, like, just stepping up, like letting go of your hesitation, for instance, especially with Virgo, or letting go of your perfection and stepping through with what you got. Okay. So that kind of thing. It's probably letting go of some sort of shadow piece of Virgo. And as I mentioned, Virgo's shadow pieces are perfection, judgment, and sort of like it feels from the outside, it can feel anal retentive, but it's actually not. It's just an obsessive nature to organize things and put things in a particular way. And sometimes Virgo can spend too much time on the details and forget about the forest. So just let it go, Capricorn. And that's really what it's about, especially because, Capricorn and Virgo are both earth signs, and you are in relation in that way. And so it could very much feel very physical. You might need to cook. You might need to get your garden going or something like that. Okay, Capricorn? So just be aware that there's healing coming and let that go. So that's for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so Aquarius. Aquarius is doing shadow work. I'm just saying. Aquarius, if you haven't noticed, you are on a mission to do shadow work. It's been going on for a while. Pluto moved into Aquarius a while ago, and now this eclipse is in your 8th house of shadow. Okay, so that's going to be hard, Aquarius. So it's okay. We all go through it at some point. It's okay to have a shadow. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let people see that vulnerability within yourself, Aquarius. And so, Aquarius, just let it go. Just figure out what that shadow thing is. Whatever that shadow thing probably has something to do with maybe other people's money. Maybe it has something to do with an inheritance. Maybe it has something to do with another taboo subject like sex or death or taxes. God, taxes. All right. And so just let it go. Just let it go, because it's going to lead you to a happier future. And so whatever that is, it's going to probably affect that area of your life. It will be some sort of taboo topic that will be hard for you. And so just know that this is your season to do your shadow work. It's not in your head. I'm validating you. It's real. And it's going to be going on for a while now, okay? So just hang in there. Don't worry, you'll get little breaks. But overall, that is your journey right now, along with Aries and Pisces right now, okay? So for Pisces, this is going to have something to do with relationships. What relationship do you need to let go of? What is in the past that needs to go? Because there's something from your past, some sort of relationship that that's not serving you anymore. It's not healthy for you. You know it's not healthier for you. And there's something you have to do to let it go. Okay. So just be aware of that relationship, especially because it's important so you can recognize your identity later. You won't be able to manifest your identity if you don't let this relationship go. So don't get too stuck on the details there, Pisces. Just allow it to move, be aware of the emotions, and recognize what needs to change in this relationship. Maybe it's not that you have to let go of the relationship, but maybe it's some way that you interact in the relationship, or some way that you behave in the relationship, or something that needs to change. This could be a love relationship, but it could also be a friendship or anyone else, like family members and stuff like that, that you're in relationship with. Could be a business relationship as well. All right, so that's for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There's going to be a big deal in relationships for you during this eclipse, Thursday, Friday. And that's that. Great. Yeah, I
Wow,
know the
that's
end of the
amazing.
zodiac.
That's amazing. You're amazing. That's always just like, wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. I hope you all got a lot out of that.
Okay, Kiki, that's not what we're doing here. We're not doing mediumship. You can catch some. I think there's a live mediumship, 2 of them tomorrow. So Bianca said that she's an Aquarius moon here in the 8th house. Oh boy. Yeah, so it's probably going to be some emotional change for you, Bianca. Big shadow work. So just hang in there. You're doing a little shadow work, especially in relation to death. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you didn't know. That's probably exactly what you're working on. Like your relationship with death. What is that? It's a very deep relationship to explore, and is probably, I think you explore, from what I've witnessed of people as they age, their relationship with death changes. And I don't fully understand their relationship when they're 90 with death. But I assume that when I get there, it will make more sense. But there is a part of me as I age that I'm kind of like, yeah, there does become a part where you're kind of like, okay, I've done what I can, you guys. I've done what I can. And it does sometimes feel like that. Like you, after 50, 60 years, I don't know if you ever feel that way, Bright Hawk, but sometimes when I look at the world and my place in it, I kind of feel like that. Okay, you guys, I did what I could here. and I think that that's important, that you do feel that. And I think the people with the healthiest relationship with death have that experience. They get to have that experience. And I think if you get to have that experience, then you're lucky. So I'm going to shuffle these cards, and I'm going to pull 3 cards for the week. And so these 3 cards, the first card is the King of Wands. Yep. King of Wands is very black and white. This is what we're letting go of in the past. And I'm just like sitting here going, did we get this for like the future last week or something?
I think so. I think like we really got it recently.
Okay. This is that black and white person. This always reminds me of my ex.
I always think of James Dean, sort of
it's exactly the energy. It's sort of like black and white. It's this way or that way. Not always. It's the relaxed, like, I guess so type of attitude. Very chill, very cool, right? And that's exactly what the King of Wands is about, being open to whichever. This is also about being open to the open road, right? You can see they're on a motorcycle. It looks like they're like, this person is in like Utah or something, where it's very wide open. And that has a lot to do with the past, right? That has a lot to do with our way of being open, and we were moving forward as a result of that open. And that's exactly what this is about. Okay, so this is about like what was in the past. What were we open about? What were we being black and white about? What were we what were we contemplating? What part were we shifting in that department, like from black and white to open or vice versa? What did we decide was a different reality for us in the past? And now this is the Knight of Cups, and this is in the here and now. And this has a lot to do with our emotionality and how we handle it, and the messages that we're getting from the other side, messages from the divine, messages from our spirit guides or any other spirits around us. That's the Knight of Cups. That's what this is about. This is about taking those messages and integrating them. And that's exactly what a lunar eclipse is. It's a message from the universe letting you know what it is needs to be shifted. You'll figure it out. Trust me. The moon will speak to you. You'll dream it. You'll think it. You'll feel it in your heart. You'll know it. You'll experience it. Whatever needs to change, you'll know. There won't be any secrets. Spirit will deliver it to you. And that will be this week. And that's what this is about. This is the Knight of Cups. What in your emotions needs to change? What needs to change around how in your life that is emotional for you? Okay. And then going forward, this is the Ace of Pentacles, which is actually a really great card. I'm relieved to see this card. This is a really good card for finances. This is about doing better financially, finding the way financially. This is one of the best financial cards you can get. This is the Ace of Pentacles, and this is going forward. So, and that makes me think about like how, like I was saying earlier, like letting the balloon go, right? Letting all the air out of the balloon pushes the balloon in the right direction. And that's what I'm talking about. And this is exactly what's happening in this eclipse. Is it's meant to push you onto your right track. So make sure you grab that track going forward, because it's got rewards for you. That's what this is. This is about rewards, usually financial or resources in some way. And that's exactly what the Ace of Pentacles is. So as a review, what was shifting in our past that we had to change about our intentions and our belief systems and how we approached life, and our approach or our perspective of life, and how has that changed? How has that shifted from the past to now? And as we experience those things, how are we shifting it? How are we looking at it different? And how are we moving forward? And as we go forward, be aware that there are gifts, there are resources on the other side that you will be rewarded. And that's exactly where we're headed. So be prepared for those rewards. There is a reward around the corner, especially during the solar eclipse. That tends to be when the reward manifests. Okay, which is in 2 weeks. All right. And so.
Wow, that was amazing. Whew.
Thanks. And this is Bianca said, I feel like I've been nonstop shadow work most of my life. Every time I think I have an understanding, I get spun around and realize I understand absolutely nothing. I think most people feel like that, Bianca. But yes, surrounded death, especially since losing my son 2 years ago. Exactly. Working hard and it's exhausting, but I'm continuing to push on. Yeah, you know what, Bianca? Thinking about that since Pluto entered your 8th house, because you said you're an 8th house Aquarius moon, and I know that 2 years ago Pluto dipped into Aquarius for the first time. Pretty sure that was about 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So that's so losing your son is probably related to that.
That's a tough
And
one.
your son's loss is probably meant to teach you, and this is what I would look at in your astrology death chart, is that it's probably meant to teach you about your relationship with life and death. And that's what your son's death is about. And while it's unfortunate and uncomfortable,
it's always going to be a teacher.
It's a teacher, right? Okay. And it's just, that's what's happening. And so I will say that when we, instead of saying, why me, why me, why me, instead say, what am I supposed to learn from this? And then as you start to realize what you can learn from something, and I think Bright Hawk always reminds me, what can I learn from this? And I appreciate that lesson, because then what happens is I can have a different perspective about what's happening to me in this moment. Okay. And it's typical for Pisces energy to kind of say that. And I think, Bianca, you have some Pisces placements. But yeah, so it's just that the eclipse is just going to, you just have to let go. And Bianca, I wouldn't be surprised if you were letting go of the victimhood of death and realizing that it's destined and that you are not the victim of your son's death. It's a little bit different perspective, and maybe you can think about that a bit, but not being the victim of death and instead being open to the experience of life and death. I imagine it's incredibly hard to lose your son. I imagine it's the hardest thing you will ever do. Kiki, I'm so glad that we could help you feel better about the eclipse. You know, that's a funny thing about the eclipse. I have found eclipses to be life changers. Like,
yeah, and that you never know how. You never really, at least my experience has been, it's usually you figure it out in the rearview mirror a few months down the road of, oh, so that's what that was all about, you know? And sometimes it's initiating, you know, big changes that hopefully we've given you an idea about how to surf it and where to anticipate it in what part of your life. And more than anything, we just wish you all the very best, and that, you know, this too shall pass. Everything changes every single day. So, you know, we're never stuck for long. And thanks so much for interacting with us and asking great questions. We really send you lots of love. We appreciate you listening, subscribing, liking, sharing, you know, all the routine. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.
bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.